everyone, I am your host, Misty Doan, here at the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and I'm really excited about this. If you haven't seen Jenny's tutorial for her pixelated pumpkin that she made, much larger than mine, be sure to check that out because it's so cute. She made a full quilt of this, and it's just darling. But if you know me and you've been around here for a little while, you know I like tiny and I like to make projects small, and I also love to decorate for Halloween. We just love to make costumes and have the house all festive, so I'm always looking for a quick and easy project to whip up for the holidays, and this one is certainly that. And so we have just taken the exact same concept that you see in Jenny's tutorial and made it smaller, and I'm really, really excited about it. We're using the same pumpkin patchwork layer cake by Riley Blake. This is an exclusive for us here at Missouri Star Quilt Company that they helped us put together to make this pattern. So it's perfectly suited and has the right numbers of orange and black to make this project. And by using, I know you're looking at this package of 10-inch squares going, like, you really use this whole thing? No, you actually get 2 of these wall hangings out of your pack. And so you can make one for you and make one to give to a friend, which is really, really fun. So to begin with, you're going to pick 9 black squares, 10-inch squares, and 12 orange squares from your pack for each of your wall hangings. So you can just kind of flip through and just grab whichever ones, suit your fancy. And then we're going to cut those into 2.5-inch strips. And I have some that I've already cut a few strips off of, but you can see here, these started out as 10-inch squares, and we're just going to cut them in to 2.5-inch strips. And then we can subcut these down into our 2.5-inch squares by stacking them and just using our ruler and cutting across this way. And I love our Missouri Star rulers that we have because they're perfect if you're working for pre-cuts. This is exactly 2.5 inches wide, so we know we can just use edge to edge on the ruler, and we've got our 2.5-inch squares ready to go. So you're going to cut your 9 black squares all down into 2.5-inch squares and your 12 orange squares down the exact same way. And next up, we need to make some half square triangle units. And so we're going to take, we need 24. So of all the squares that we cut up, we're going to take 24 orange, 24 black, and on the back of the orange, you're going to want to either press a line, draw a line, or if you have the diagonal seam tape like I have here on my machine, when you're working with 2.5-inch squares, it makes this really, really quick and easy. And so I'm going to go ahead and just grab a few sets to get these going, and we're just going to put them right sides together, and we can just mix them all up because we want this to be scrappy. So I'm just going to grab a few, and we're going to chain piece these at the machine because it makes it so quick. There we go. I've got a few ready here, and then I'm going to take my stack over. Let me show you real quick. If you do want to press a line, you're just going to want to press back this direction. It's much easier to sew in a valley than it is on a peak. And so by pressing wrong sides together, when we open this up, we've got a little valley that our needle can run in, and that will make it much easier. But like I said, I am just going to use my diagonal seam tape, and I'll explain that to you as well. So let's take our little pile over here to the machine. Remember, you're going to have 24 of these sets. I just grabbed a few to get us started. And we're going to line up corner to corner, and we're going to sew right on that press line. So just right on the line, and so you can see I've got this point right in line with my needle, and I can just sew right down. Now I'm not even going to trim my thread. I'm going to take my next set, and I haven't drawn a line here, but you can see, same idea. I'm going to put this point right there under my needle, and you can see on the diagonal seam tape here, the opposite point is going to be lined up with this red line on that tape. And if I keep the point on that red line the entire time it's going through the machine, I know I'm going to be sewing exactly point to point. And so I love this diagonal seam tape. You can see I'm just keeping the point on that line as I go. We're just going to keep doing a few more, and this is called chain piecing. There we go. And I just want to get enough of these done that we have a good start on laying out our cute jack-o'-lantern face. So we're just going to keep on going. Just want to make sure they stay lined up. Just a couple more here. And the last one. There we go. And now we can cut all of these apart. You can use the cutter on your machine or your scissors. And we're going to go ahead and trim off, leaving a 1/4 inch seam. So I'm just going to use my ruler and my rotary cutter. And if you wanted to go back and have some tiny half square triangles, you absolutely could, and do another line of stitching on those. Otherwise, these are just waste. So we're just going to go through and trim all of these off. There we go. That's one of the things I love about chain piecing, is it makes the process so quick because it's kind of like assembly line style. You can sit and sew one after the other, and then we can sit and cut one after the other. And so I find that when I do things this way, I have less mistakes because I kind of just get into a routine of what the next step is instead of going through the whole process every single time. So now we can take these over to our pressing mat, and we're going to press these. I actually want to put my black squares up because I like to press to the dark side. So we will roll these back. And you can see how cute these are in all their different fabric combinations. Make sure you've got a nice hot iron. We're just going to press these back. All right, voila, they are ready to go. So now the magic of this is all in the layout. So you can either follow along based on the quilt that I have behind me. You can follow Jenny's tutorial, but we also have a really great little diagram that you can print off, and it will show you exactly where your black and orange squares need to go, as well as your half square triangles. So let's just go ahead and start laying this out, and we can start to see the magic come together. So I'm just going to start in the very top of my diagram, which I know is a black square, and then I have 2 orange squares underneath, and a half square triangle with the orange pointing up, and a solid black, and another solid black. And then that's going to be the bottom of the eye. And so you would continue all the way down, but I'm just going to keep going across so you can start to see the eye forming. And so we're going to repeat that same thing. We've got a black at the top, some orange. And then our half square triangle goes the other direction here. Starts to form the little tip that you see here at the top. Just like that, that's where we're working. And then we've got 2 more black squares below it. So we've got one here and one here. And I love that it's scrappy because you don't have to worry about it. I just kind of try to make sure I don't have the same 2 fabrics next to each other. That's really all I am watching for. And so then again, we just have another row. And because we have this angle going down, we can add one more solid orange in there. And then we bring in our half square triangle down there and a black right there. And you can see how quickly this is all going to come together. It's just all in the layout. And it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 rows across by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 down. And that is it. It is so simple. You can see it's all in the layout. And once you do that, you're just going to, separate your rows and add one square after the other, which I can show you here. We're just laying our 2.5-inch squares. And when I'm doing a project like this, I actually usually like to use like a Post-it note, or if you have pins for marking your rows, this is a great project to use that on. And so I always start, this is just the way my brain works, there's no right or wrong, so remember that. I always start with the top left is my row 1. And I always, mark that top square. So I know I'm always starting there. And so I would, have a Post-it note with 1 on it, and I would stack up that whole row all the way across. And I would do that with all 19 rows going down. So then I can pick up row 1 and know that I can just take the top one and add one after the other as I go to sew that whole row all the way across. And then I'll leave that number 1 on that first square so that when I go to put it back together, it'll go down this way, 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, I don't have any confusion when I go to sew all those together, because sometimes on projects like this, that's where it gets tricky. And so having those little tricks to help us remember to keep things straight as we're moving from our cutting board or our design wall to the sewing machine is really what makes it so much easier and more enjoyable. So you can see how it all comes together with just our simple squares and half square triangles. And so it measures 32 by 38, and I use this really cute ghost pattern. You might be able to see it a little better on the back. Just these little ghosts in the quilting that is just perfect for it. So this is a great fun quilt. Again, if you haven't seen Jenny's tutorial for the full-size version, be sure to check that out. And thanks again to Riley Blake for this awesome exclusive fabric pack that we have here at Missouri Star, because it's perfect for this project. So happy sewing and happy Halloween, and I hope you guys have a great day from the Missouri Star Quilt Company.
We hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you are not already part of the Missouri Star Quilt family, you can hit the subscribe button below so you won't miss a thing. And if you click that bell, it'll notify you every time a new tutorial comes out. See you next Friday.